everyone to Ask Me Anything session. I'm here with Jonathan Lau. Jonathan's an amazing speaker. He was once the president of the Global Speakers
Federation.
Federation, right? I know
Yes,
it's
that's right.
foundation or federation, and not only was he not only is recognized as one of the top global speakers in the world, he's also an expert in service and sales. And I think one of the beliefs that Jonathan has is that everyone is a salesperson, right? I mean, all of us need to have that ability to sell, to be able to persuade, to be able to influence, and that's the heart of, when we look at the salesperson, a great person, essentially, it's not really selling, right? It's really about persuading. It's really about showcasing that need. And today, I think we're going to start and talk a little bit about this whole sales and service segment. But more importantly, it's a time for us to take as many questions as possible. And so, you can remain muted and your videos off. But if you do have a question, you can either write that in the chat below, or you can unmute yourself and speak, or if you prefer, showcase your face and ask Jonathan the question personally.
Yeah, it'd be great to see all of you if your video is available too.
Yeah, so video is available too. We've opened up video, so all of y'all can showcase your face if you want to ask question, or if you just want to give Jonathan some encouragement. So Jonathan, I want to set up the stage. We've got about 35 minutes or so
Right.
for us to chat and ask questions. I want to set up the stage by asking you to tell us a little bit about your journey, but more importantly, I think it's you have this belief that everyone needs to have the skill of a salesperson, or everyone needs to have the skill to be able to. Everyone is a salesperson, essentially.
Absolutely.
Talk us through that. What do you mean by everyone is a salesperson, and what sort of skills do we need to have and adapt to be able to be successful in this world? Go ahead.
Okay,
Jonathan.
cool. Thanks, Roshan. Well, I've been privileged to serve in the sales fraternity for a long time now. I did my education in the hospitality industry. So it was a service industry. I was graduated in Switzerland doing hotel management at the time. So when I came back to Kuala Lumpur, I started, the first place that I started was actually in the sales and marketing department. So that was where actually I've learned a lot. I learned to be what it is to be of service, at the same time to be in sales. So sales and service is very much part of me. And I believe, like what Roshan said earlier, right? So sales is really about helping your customer to buy, right? It's about how do you influence, how can you sell your idea, right? Because whether it is selling a product, whether it's selling a solution, or getting your ideas internally within your team, it's all about buy-in. So how can you create even better experiences and opportunity as you communicate to get that buy-in from people? So that's where my journey started. So I've been in the hospitality for 20 plus years. I left the hotel industry and became a professional speaker, facilitator, coach for the last 15 years. Yeah, so that's how my journey has been. So if you have any question, welcome to post some question on the chat, and I'll be happy to answer as best as I can on the area of sales and service mastery, or what you can do, or what resources is available to you.
Sure. So Jonathan, tell us a bit about, when you talk about everyone's a salesperson, what sort of, tell us the thinking behind that. What do you mean everyone's a salesperson? What is it that the salesperson has that we all need to have for us to be successful in all our ventures and all our endeavors?
Okay, great question. So I guess one of the first thing is your ability to influence, right? Whether you're at home, whether you are deciding you want to go out for a meal, or what you want to order for dinner or lunch today, right? Where is a great place to eat? You're indirectly selling your idea, right? It is your ability to persuade someone to buy into your idea. And again, this will work well in, whether you carry a title of a sales, because, sometimes when I work with teams and they say, hey, I'm in finance, and I know I have a friend here who was here earlier. It was Zai, right? I think Zai was here very early, and I asked Zai, which department she's in. And Zai said, well, I'm from finance. And sometimes you say, hey, finance, I'm not in sales, I don't sell. But trust me, whether you're in finance, whether you're in operation, everyone's a salesperson, because you need to sell your idea, you need to influence, right? If you want to go into austerity drive right now, you need to sell the benefit, right? You need to sell the benefit of what that means at this point in time. As everyone's going through a tough situation, what do you need to do? And if you carry a business development or you're a salesperson out there, there are certain skills that you need to develop. There are different competency that you need to have to be able to be really successful, because that is really the pulse of every organization, right? It starts from sales. Sales equals to clients. Clients equals to revenue, and keeps the whole process going. I hope that helps, Roshan.
Yeah, definitely helps. And I totally agree. I think at the heart of it, everybody needs to have those skills to be able to persuade. So I think the first question we have is, out there is, what's the secret to persuasion? Is there a magic bullet or a magic pill that needs to be taken for us to be able to unlock this secret to persuasion?
All right.
And that's from Andrea. Yep.
Well, first thing is, I guess there's no magical secret, but first thing that you need to at least embrace, you have got to be a likable person, right? You think of the people that you deal with.
How do you do that, Jonathan? I mean, how do you become likable?
Yeah, think of the people that you buy from, right? Think of the people that you buy from. It starts from two things, right? People that you trust and people that you like, right? And it's usually like, love to trust. And that's the whole chronological of the thing. I mean, if you are someone that people don't even have that likability factor, it's going to be a challenge. But sometimes you say, hey, maybe I'm not, people may not like me, but my title is a sales, but I still need to do it, right? So one of the key things I always believe is you need to develop trust, right? And in developing trust, leading to the likability, is your ability to exhibit the 4 C's, right? Exhibit the 4 C's. The first one is on your area of competence, right? If you want to really sell, people need to respect you. People need to know how knowledgeable you are in that area of your expertise, because that will build credibility and get people to talk about it, right? So the first one is your area of competence. So your skills, your knowledge, and of course your attitude, whether you do it as a passion, something that you really like to help people with, or you do it because, oh, it's my 9-to-5 job, I just got to do it. People can feel it. That's the first one. Second one, I would say, is on your commitment. Many people say they would do it, but they don't follow through, right? So commitment is really key to building trust. The third one is consistency. How often are you seen? So if you're in sales, like for example, I've seen a lot of leaders, they use different social media platforms to engage people, whether it is LinkedIn, if it's business to business, it's LinkedIn, right? So how consistent are you with them during this pandemic? Are you out of their radar, or are you still in top of their mind? And the fourth and final C is your ability to care. How caring are you? Are you more looking at the dollar sign, or do you care for them as a person, as an individual? Because that will carry through, I believe.
So those 4 will be the elements that drive trust, right?
Absolutely.
Which
Absolutely.
is the secret to persuasion. Because if somebody trusts you, then you're able to persuade them, then you're able to influence them, then you're able to negotiate with them. So that's the key. And Zinin asked a question. She, I mean, her belief is that to be able to sell, the first step is to market yourself as an individual. Do you agree with that? It's about marketing yourself as an individual. And if so, how do you do this personal branding piece? How does that work?
Well, I guess you've got to reflect back on your personal value and what resonates with you. And again, work on the 4 C's there, right? Especially even in your personal branding. I feel that, the more authentic you are in your approach, the greater your results will be in the longer run, right? You can be very manipulative. Okay, maybe in the short term, you can be very successful, but it's a small industry. I feel it's a small industry. Word gets around. And most of the time, if you're going to be successful long in this industry, the power of recommendation and referrals are really, really important. As part of your personal branding, words gets around, on brand, off brand. Whether you are doing a professional gig, you're working, or off brand, right? If that changes and vary too much, people will be having question mark. And that's where the credibility factor comes in, right? In the area of competency. So be really authentic, whether you are at home, whether you're your personal or professional life, try to be as consistent as possible, be authentic. That will get you really, really wrong in terms of your personal branding.
Okay. I mean, going back to this whole concept of trust, and you talked about the 4 C's to build that trust, right? Arun asked, his question is that he thinks very important that part of building trust is also to build a relationship. So, as he, I assume as he drives sales, he finds that it takes a lot of time to build relationships, right? So how do you accelerate that process? As a salesperson, you want to build as many relationships and build that trust as fast as possible in an accelerated manner. So then he goes on. So that's first part of the question. Second part, I think, is really things like the traditional way of selling, cold calling. Is that dead? I mean, or because it seems to be very contradictory to your 4 C's and also to this whole concept of relationship building and building trust. So I guess there's 2 parts to it. The first is how do you accelerate trust building and relationship building, and the second part is does cold calls and all these old traditional sales methods still work, and if they do, why and how can you make it effective?
Okay, well, so two-pronged question. So Arun, where are you from, Arun? If I don't mind asking.
I'm from KL. I'm from Malaysia.
Okay, any specific industry you're working with?
No, so I'm in eValcs, so digital learning simulations.
Okay. So let's talk about the first part, right? On the art of building relationships, right? One of the quickest way, again, this is my personal experience and what I've gone through, and I've seen other people successfully practicing it. It is to build on your circle of influence, right? Build your circle of influence. Give more value than what is expected. Surprise them, delight them, right? So start with your circle of influence that you have there. Because once that grow, just imagine, you grow with 10, and that 10% recommend another 3 people to you. So your relationship building, work with them, because it's just like a ripple, right? If you throw a stone in the ripple, it will just cascade to different ripple. And that's one of the fastest, quickest way. I use LinkedIn as one of the ways to develop a relationship too. And if you have done a really good job, and if your customers are happy with it, request for a recommendation. Get them to share something on what you are also good with, right? So that's one thing, right? So at least other people can see your credibility and what you have done. The other thing is, sometimes when we do things, I find that we don't ask enough good question to find out what you're really good at. We have clients,
right?
We have prospect, and we have clients. So sometimes, 20% of those people that you work with are probably going to recommend 80% of your business or contribute 80% of your business.
Yep.
How often are you reaching them and say, hey, thank you so much for the support. I'm just curious, what am I doing right now that you really like and love? Okay. Anyone ask that? We just assume that, wow, they're there, they're just going to stay there, and I need to continue to knock on more doors. Right. What if you just find out what has been working well? What do people like? And just begin to replicate that practice with 80% of your clientele base.
Right.
Okay. And the other thing that I can think of very quickly now is, don't always ask for business. Begin to share how you can help them.
Right.
The more people that you can help, the more they will come back to you when you need them.
Right. Okay. Thank you so
much.
much.
That works. Sure. Welcome.
Fantastic. I think that's those are good points. I think that you talk about, Jonathan. But how about and here's a question: how about if you don't, you're forced to sell something? You may be in a position where you're forced to sell something that you don't believe in. Do you continue to sell it? I mean, it's your job, right? So should you continue to pursue to sell it? And how do you do that? Would you have to change your perspective, or do you have to how do you sell something that you don't really believe in? And I guess to counter that, how you want to believe in it, what's the process of changing your perception?
All right, this is a very interesting question, right? So, well, the first thing is love what you do, right? That's the first thing, right? That's the most ideal situation. You got to believe it, right? It's just like if you're selling a property, if you don't believe in that property, it's pretty hard. If you're selling insurance and you don't believe in the product, right? You don't believe it's going to help people, it's going to be really tough, right? If you're in a situation that you are facing a sales job and because it is your role at this point in time and you need to sell, find out how other people are benefiting from this. It may not be your personal experience at this point in time, but if you find out enough of how this product or solution is helping other people, that forms your credibility. You're not saying it because you are faking it, but you're saying it with research and credibility that other people have enjoyed this benefit. And you're sharing what they have also shared out. And you just want to help out many other people because of the services that they have also enjoyed and what you potentially can help them with. So again, because some of you may be new in the sales, right? Say, oh, I may not have the kind of relationship, I may not have been helping enough customers, but you may have other colleagues that have done something great with other clients. So begin to exchange together, begin to grow as a team to become even better. This reminded me of a very interesting, I'm sure some of you may have seen the Queen's Gambit. Anyone seen the Queen's Gambit? Right? She was such a loner, right? She was always herself. But hopefully, if you have not seen it, I'm not giving too many spoilers here. But it's the power of the team, right? It's the people, the different experiences, people coming in. I mean, even the competitors coming together, supporting one another. And that's what we believe that, having gone into the professional speaking fraternity, we always believe in this. It is an abundance world. As we begin to share more will come to you. So in a way, yeah, there are certain things we do compete, but actually we don't compete because there's something that I don't do that you may do. And we want to explore how we can collaborate. So in that sense, you can still develop that niche and credibility, even though you may not have gone through it. Hope that helps.
Fantastic. We have a question here from Sashi. And he says, I've met a few people who sometimes who had something to sell to me, but they genuinely wanted to know my problem was, and if their product could solve my problem. Only then would they sell it to me. However, in his mind, he says, is this time wasting? Because you invest a lot of time in the sales process to diagnose, to try and understand things, right? But is there a balance between selling and building relationships, or diagnosing work, which is to understand the needs, and trying to sell your product and service? What are your thoughts, Jonathan?
Okay, so Sashi, if I understand you correctly, what you're asking is if I have a ready buyer, right? If a buyer is ready to buy, do I still walk through with them, the whole cycle of the discovery? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of that, but mainly it's to also to know whether that investing in building relationships and everything, how do you also identify whether that is something that other person actually wants? Maybe that person also just wants you to get to the point and tell them what do you actually want. So how do you
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, understand. Well, I guess is every customer, every client is different, right? So every person is different. So people buy with the emotions, but they support it with the cognitive side of it, right? So it's always a combination of things, right? And this is where the art of emotional intelligence, skills of empathy, understanding what the customer requires is really important. If you feel that the customer is ready to buy, right, just help them with whatever is going to help them solve the problem. It's just like a doctor, right? If you're going there and you're having a flu, can you imagine the doctor spending like 1 hour diagnosing your whole body, or just need a quick medication to get rid of the flu, right? So be very sensitive to some of those signals. And if a customer wants that's what the customer prefers, help them with that approach. Some customers will need more information. And this is where you learn about the different types of customers, the different category of customers, right? Because everyone buys differently. If I do the same approach with someone who's an analyst, right? Who needs a lot of information to support their buying decision, not the risk taker. If I go on that, I will feel it as, whoa, why are you trying to sell me? Why are you trying to push me when I'm not ready? So it's understanding the state of readiness and just help them accordingly. So always have that perspective. I always believe, right? Every day ask yourself, if you carry a sales title, are you there to sell today? Or are you there to help someone with their problem? Are you a solution provider? Or are you giving them the headache, right? So every day if you go out with this thing, ask yourself, how many customers am I helping today? How many people will I be helping today when I wake up, right? Am I be helping 10 people, 15 people? That changes the whole mindset and perspective versus, oh, I need to sell to 10 people today. Trust me, when you're able to help enough people get what they want, they will help you get what you want.
Fantastic.
Thanks, John.
So Erin asked a question, I'm going to read what is written. The best sales is when you don't need to sell. Your reputation and relationship can sell by itself. Reputation and relationships are fundamentally built on trust and respect. Trust and respect directly link to the way you carry yourself and your performance in delivering results. This is my amateur views. Good to know if it's aligned to what you are sharing, Jonathan.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, your reputation, your credibility, and again, going back to the 4 C's, right? How you build those reliability factor, saying that you do it, even if you don't have the answer, just get back to them first to say that you don't have the answer, but you still look into it. Those are the little things, right? Those are the little things that we may feel that is not important, but fundamentally, those are the sound things. And if you want to be here in the long run, those are the elements that is important. And those are the things that I've learned, right? So I started my career in hospitality, in the hotel business, but I'm able to transit and also move into other industry right now. So I do a lot of work now helping bankers, finance institution, but fundamentally, the relationship management has not changed. It's just going with a service mindset, always be ready and ask a lot of questions, right? Let the focus be your customers. The more your focus is with the customer, other things can come in. I always share this analogy when I'm running programs, right? I always think of myself as a doctor. When I first started my career, I was very, very excited. I've got all this product knowledge, all these things that I need to sell. Because, you go for your morning sales briefing and your bosses, say, okay, these are the products that we have. Go out to the market and see as many customers as you need to see. And I was like, a doctor was just giving injection, right? Customers say, hey, John, good to see you. The moment they say that, I would say, great to see you. Let me tell you what we have this week. And it was just like injection after another injection, product after another product. And after a while, my customers started to tell this to me. John, if we have a problem, we'll get back to you. You don't have to call us anymore. So that was a big learning lessons for me, right? I wish someone had told me that, hey, it's better to listen, ask them, what is their requirement? Sometimes you may have 10 products, but all they need is just one simple solution. Don't load them with 10 different things when all they need is one. So this goes back to what was asked earlier too, right? So again, ask enough. All great salesperson are great listeners and they ask great relevant questions.
Fantastic. So, I got a question with Q, and then we have a follow-up question related to your point earlier, which I'll bring in a bit.
Sure.
But the question from Kyril is sometimes you have a few types of customers. One is the high-paying customer, let's say, who has deep pockets. And then maybe some are the low-paying customers, maybe government or something of those nature. How do you balance your time with these two types of customers? Do you focus 80-20? Or do you just focus on the deep pockets guys, or is there like, do you call out a niche? What are your thoughts, John?
All right. So high paying and low hanging fruits, right?
Low paying, or maybe
low paying, right? So I guess again, you need to have clarity what is important to you, what gives you your internal satisfaction. Some could be, they may not pay as high, but you feel good about helping that someone, right? So that is going to be back to your values and what is important to you, and what is important. We're doing this. Together we can change the world. Together with Literonomics, right? So bouncing back, right? And again, we as speakers, we set aside time on a yearly basis. We reach out to things and we don't get paid, right? But we feel good about this because we are contributing to someone's life. And if that is your calling, right? So you may not earn as much, but you're still happy. At the end of the day, what makes you happy? What makes you resonate? And you can walk out and say, I'm making a difference in someone's life. And if you get a bigger one, great. Be grateful for it. Don't be arrogant. Be grateful. Have a sense of gratitude, and ask yourself, how else can I contribute more?
Fantastic. I like that. I think customers is not. I mean, the value of a customer is not how much of margins we make from them, but the kind of utility that we can get in terms of helping them, in terms of growing them, in terms of enabling them to succeed. And I think that utility is what ultimately will drive us also to be motivated, to be energized, and to be refueling ourselves with this new fuel to be able to help push forward. One question from Nadira in Indonesia is, how does the sales technique work in other occupations? Because you said sales is not just for salespeople. You mentioned your first point early on is sales is for everyone. So how does this sales technique work in other occupation? As you mentioned that it can be used in any occupation that one is in. So talk us through how we can utilize it, say in other functions or other areas.
All right. So in answering to Nadira's question, it's about the art of influence. Right? If you want a resource, read about the book by Robert Cialdini, right? The Art of Influence. He has got 6 principles there. It's really about, whether you're in finance, whether you're in operation, it is about your idea. How is this idea going to help the general group, right? And you want to build that ability because in a way, you're actually selling your idea. Take a very simple thing, right? Even going for dinner sometimes at home, you've got to decide where to go, what to order, right? And you're trying to be persuasive to sell certain things, right? Whether it is something that you prefer, whether it is good for the whole family, you're always in decision-making time. So that kind of skills will be very, very useful as you are leading teams, especially for leaders, right? So sometimes I've seen a lot of good sales people in the marketplace are able to get good results. But once they're promoted to become a sales director or a sales leader, sometimes the skill of leading and influencing their team is always a challenge because they're so good with customers, with teams. So you need to get the buy-in. And this is where your skill of influence and persuasiveness will be very, very important. Always ask yourself, how can I help this person become better? I'll share another thing that happened during my career back in the hotel days. How do I influence my team to be better? Do I have to be 24 hours up their neck? So one of the things that I always do is I'll get each of the salesperson into my room and I will have a quick conversation with them and say, what do I need to do to help you to become a sales director in 1 or 2 years' time? And again, sales director was my role at the time. And many of them are, oh, boss, we're not here to take over your role. I'm not here to challenge you. No, it's okay. I just want to see what I can do to help you to become more effective in getting that. What do you think will happen when I pose that question? In them, they'll be asking, wow, here's the boss who's going to support me. Now, my question is, when they become independently motivated, what will happen to the result? It will increase because they're so individually motivated to become a sales director in the course of time. So when their results are increasing, do I need to always put a carrot in front of them and say, are you reaching your goals? So in a way, if I can help them achieve what they want in life, be it career or things that matter to them, their intrinsic motivation will be so high that they'll be willing to do what it takes. When results are there, collectively as a group, we will achieve. And they are part of that drive. I'm there just to facilitate that process of growth for them.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do, right, Jonathan? I mean, it's tough to do. Because it requires you to really understand and what people's needs are, and I mean,
Yes.
even in your own team, right? I mean, what you're saying is, understanding your own folks that work for you, understanding deep down what their goals are, and enabling that to happen. So that's not a very easy process, right?
It is not, but I feel it's an important one. So because we live in a world that is so personalized this day. Everything is about personalization, right? So one strategy will not work for everyone, and the same for our clients. The more personable you are with them, they want to be feel as an individual. So the more you can help them individually, not like a broad strategy or a broad solution, one shoe fits all, that kind of thing. I feel that it will not work these days. A lot of customization needs to happen, even in your approach. So the more you're able to do that, the greater your success will be.
Fantastic. We got a couple more questions, and we have about 5 minutes or so. Maybe
Wow, time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Zaizurati, who joined us very early, has a question for you. In NGOs, right? How do you create trust from donors? You talked about 4C. How do you do that for an NGO?
I guess for NGO, it's about your past track records. What you're doing, some of the things that you have been helping, right? As an NGO, how you're contributing to society. From my experience, there will be a segment of the market that will resonate with what you're doing. Not everyone will resonate. I mean, that's the reality. So sometimes you will get a lot of no's. But out of 10 no's, if you get that one yes, you're one step closer to the next yes. That's always what I believe, right? And it's the same as sales, right? If you reach out to 10 customers and if 8 says no, do you stop? The 9, the 10 could be the one yes, and that could be the big one that you're just asking. But if you stop short with just the 8, you have missed the opportunity. So again, it's about perseverance, right? It's about resilience. It's about keep going. It's about bouncing back. It's going to be tough, but if you're willing and your internal why is strong enough for you to do what you're doing, and you believe that your NGO is serving a greater cause and can help generate, and you can see the smile in the face of the people that you're helping, and this is purposeful, continue to do it. Continue to reach out. One no leads to the next yes. Always remember that.
And many no's potentially will result in many yeses down the road.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take a couple more questions. So if I think there's a few more questions. Let me take this question from Kwan. So Kwan asks, let me pull up this question. Sorry about that. I'm just having a bit of trouble pulling the question. Something is wrong with my.
Yeah, maybe Roshan, I can ask the question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes. So Jonathan, the question is from Kwan. He says, as a salesperson, do you know the inside out of your product or service you're selling? How do you draw the line between focusing on strength of the product and masking the weakness or shortcomings of the product?
This is to avoid sounding fluffy or misrepresenting your product.
Yep.
I always believe that whatever products that you have, there's always greater benefit depending on how you help the person, and sometimes it's an educational process. Even from a technological world right now, right? There's so many new products that are really useful, but ask ourselves, how many % of the functionality do we actually use, right? So it's an educational process for your customer, and your role is really to educate them, right? Help them to at least the base level to do what is needed, and then move up with the percentage. Because if not, it's going to overwhelm them, and they may just say, this is not the right product for me. But in actual fact, that could be one of the best products for them. Help them to meet what is needed first, solve the immediate pain, and then gradually 10% more, 10% more. Go along with them in the journey. It's not transactional. Relationships are not transactional. Just because you close a sale, don't look for the next one. Continue to go back to them. How does this help you? How does it help you? Are you serving right? So ask questions, continue to be with them. It's a journey. The greater the journey, and along the journey, is there another person that I can help based on what you've experienced? That's how you get more leads, right? And this is called the transference of trust from your customer to you. And you don't need to do cold calling. They'll be so happy with what you've done that they will recommend. And make sure that your solution is really helping them for whatever is serving.
Well, that's fantastic. So Jonathan, I'm going to ask you to say some final words. And I'm going to invite Pei from who's representing Microsoft actually to join us and share a few things on Microsoft Teams for all of us. But while she sets up, I want you all to do one small assignment, and Jonathan is going to give us his final say. So while P sets up, I want you to write in the chat your one big lesson learned from the Ask Me Anything session today. So this is your gift to Jonathan, right? So what did you learn and extract from Jonathan's wisdom? So I see, like Arun's already said, a great mantra to have is to always provide value before you extract value. Be sincere and authentic. That's some of the takeaways I got from anyway. Thank you, Arun. And Zinin already said ROI doesn't necessarily measure by monetary value, but also by fundamental values and impact. So what's your takeaway? Write it down in the chat. And John, as they do that, maybe your final takeaway, and then Pei is gonna share a little bit. So Pei, you can put your slides on if you want. John, your final takeaway.
All right. So my final takeaway or encouragement to you is begin to always serve it forward. Serve it forward. Now, what is serve it forward? You know, when you give things to someone, when you do things for someone, you kind of like always expecting things to come back. So my challenge to you this morning is serve it forward this way. When you do things for someone, when things comes back to you, it is a bonus. It is a bonus. If things does not come back to you for whatever reason yet, it is your gift to that someone.
Comments and insights that people have. So from Andrea, it was you attract what you put out there. Zinin takeaway was listen more than you speak, give more than you take, help clients more than you ask for clients' help. So those were a couple more takeaways. So I want to just read a couple more comments. I think Nadira says, build relationship and trust by understanding what your clients need very well. It may take time, but it will be worth it. With that, I'm going to go back to Jonathan, and let's close this out with one final thought. One nugget of wisdom, Jonathan, that you can leave with us as we close this Ask Me Anything session. Your final thoughts, Jonathan.
You're one step closer to your next sale. So never give up, bounce back, and continue to believe in what you're doing.
Right. And I think it's not just sales, right? You're one step closer to your goals.
Yeah.
Every at the end of the day, it's about persuading, it's about influencing, it's about gathering support to achieve your goals in a collaborative manner. As Jonathan said, it's about partnerships and it's about working together. And you can only do that when you have persuasive skills, right? So with that, Jonathan, thank you so much for your insight. Bye, Jonathan.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Great one.
Welcome.